The moment has finally arrived. We have the 2022 Vikings regular season schedule, and to my left, I have Ron Johnson and Gabe Henderson, both of Vikings Entertainment Network, here to break it down and give us their prediction. But first, guys, let's look at the full slate of games for this fall. We kick things off with a huge home opener against the Packers on September 11th. And of course, we have that London game in New Orleans week 4. And those 3 home divisional games all before the bye week in week 7. And of course, right after that, diving into the Cardinals, you've got Dallas and New England within 4 days of each other. And you've got that Thanksgiving night game, week 12. And then ending the season on the road at Green Bay, at Chicago, something that we've seen a lot more recently. But that's a full look at things. And Ron, let's break it down section by section. So we'll get things going with those first 6 games. They go back and forth from home and away up until that bye week. What are you most looking at?
Well, game 1, it's the Packers. I mean, we've talked about Devontae Adams being gone. Everybody is now picking the Vikings. You know, they think they're the favorites, odds-on favorites. I mean, they're even 18-1 right now to win the NFC. And so when you look at what's slated with Aaron Rodgers, and now you have Kirk Cousins with a potent offensive coordinator, offensive-minded head coach. I mean, a new defense in the 3-4 defense. So both teams going to be out there displaying this 3-4 defense. You got coaches on the defensive side for the Vikings that know the Packers well. Mike Pettin, those guys have been there, so they know how to rattle Aaron Rodgers. They can give they can give the defense the tips, but they also can tell the offense, hey, this is what their 3-4 is going to do. This is what's trying to confuse you. This is where you need to go with the ball. So I just think it's a recipe for a great way to kick the season off, to show this new look offense. There's going to be 2 high-flying teams out there trying to throw the ball down the field, and 2 pretty similar-looking defenses now, with both being in the 3-4. So I think, the NFL did that for a reason. We know exactly why they did it.
Yes.
And you're going to catch the Packers before I think they gel. I think the key when early football starts, it's always the offense that kind of gets the early edge. Defense start to figure teams out as the season goes, and that's even in training camp. The offense always starts out hot. The defense looks like hot garbage, and then as the season gets closer, the defense is ready to go. So I think that's what I'm looking most forward to.
But Gabe, those first 6 games, what game are you most looking forward to?
I got to go New Orleans Saints, simply because of the fact that it's in London. And when you're in London, that means it makes for a good time when the Vikings win. The Vikings are 2-0 in London, both in 2013 and 2017. And you get an opportunity to play the New Orleans Saints there. This is going to be a really good opportunity. History shows that the Vikings don't play well in New Orleans. So the fact that this is a road game, not in New Orleans, but at a neutral site, this ultimately makes for, I think, a winnable schedule for the Minnesota Vikings. And you just look at Kirk Cousins against the New Orleans Saints. He's been historically phenomenal against this team. 12 touchdowns, only 1 interception, 3 wins in the 4 games that he's played him. And I think this will be another game that we'll see Kirk Cousins in prime fashion. Monday night. Oh, I guess it's not Monday night, but it's Sunday morning. Sunday morning football. So this will be a lot of fun, just seeing this Vikings team travel out to London, get a win, and have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, the last 2 times they faced New Orleans in the regular season, they lost, but then they won in the postseason.
Yeah.
So, you never know what you're going to get when you play the Saints. A lot of bad blood in that matchup. Now let's take a look at week 7 through 12. You have that week 7 bye. This coaching staff opting to take the bye week 2 weeks after the London game instead of the week after. But it's a tough slate. You've got Cardinals, you've got the Commanders, a road game at Buffalo, and then, of course, we talked about the Dallas game, the New England game, Thanksgiving night. Ron, which one of those 5 contests are you most looking forward to?
Well, it's got to be Turkey Day. I mean, it's been one of those things where everybody wanted them to change Thanksgiving, because you look at the teams that historically have played on Thanksgiving. It's been some bad games. I mean, let's be honest. I'm sick of the Lions and Bears on Thanksgiving. It's 2 trashy teams sometimes. They've gotten better. They've been good at times, but then it's been literally, it's just been bad football. Like my dad, God rest his soul, being from Detroit, playing for the Steelers, he even started to say that, and he's a football fan too. He's like, why are the Lions still on TV? There's no reason for some of these games. So now I think people are going to be a little bit happier. You're going to see, an offense and Mac Jones, a young gun, who nobody assumed he would be as good as he is. And Belichick, now we're going to really find out, is it the chicken or the egg? Was it Brady or was it Belichick? He has 1 full year working with Mac Jones. Now you're going to see him up against this Vikings defense again. It's going to be a new look, so film, throw it out the window. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't watch old film of the Vikings defense because you don't know what they're going to throw at you. You can watch this Darius Smith and kind of get an idea where he lines up and Daniil Hunter. But with this move, new look, I'm excited for that. And then, of course, it's going to be offense again. I mean, the gritty, anytime you get the gritty on Thanksgiving, that's what people want to see, and that's what I'm excited for.
A lot of garbage talk in this schedule release from Ron Johnson.
Said garbage, trash. I'm just looking at, I'm waiting for what's
just
next.
Normal trash. What won't be trash is the game that you're looking forward to the most. What is the game to catch in this 5-week span?
I hope it's not trash because it's going to be the Vikings' toughest game of the season. Hopefully they come out playing like they are, hoping that the Buffalo Bills will come out and be like, there's some trash. So let's look at it this way. The Buffalo Bills fans will be trash, so let's put their misery into more misery, if that makes sense at all. But long story short, we got this Buffalo Bills team that is really good. They've had a top 3 defense 3 out of the last 4 years. There's a lot of familiar faces from Stephon Diggs, James Cook, Dalvin Cook's brother. You got Leslie Frazier. Harrison Phillips was a Buffalo Bill last year. Now you look at that and say, okay, this is a Vikings team that are two weeks out from after their bye week, after playing the Dolphins and the Commanders. How good is this team? And I think this game will be the game where the Vikings will show the fans, okay, this is our identity, this is who we are, and this is why we should be a playoff team come February. And I think this Buffalo Bills team, they're going to be loaded. They're going to be packed. They got a really good team also. So it might be a track meet. It might be a lot of touchdowns, but more importantly, hopefully that results in the Vikings win.
When seeing this schedule earlier today, Zadarius Smith said, start fast, finish strong, and you got to win during that stretch for sure, because let's get into those final games of the season. We've got the Jets game kicking off week 13, and then you've got your 3 divisional games sandwiched in between. All of that is that Christmas Eve game against the Giants at noon on week 16. So, Ron, what is your game to catch during this home stretch?
Well, I got to go with that one. I got to go with Giants. It's Christmas Eve, so Santa's going to come down. You know, hopefully he's not going to have a lump of coal for the Vikings. Vikings fans as well. You'll get to spend Christmas Eve either at the stadium or watching some good football, and then you get to wake up and open presents, hopefully not sad from a loss to a team like the Giants. Nothing against the Giants, but they don't even know what quarterback they really want to go with for the future. This is kind of his do-it-all season for Daniel Jones. I think he's good. I think he can run. He's mobile, so that might pose a problem. But with these guys they've added on this defense, and Brian Asamoah, you look at all these guys that can run. You got Lewis Seen, who's a big, fast, hard-hitting guy. You got Cam Bynum, who can play in the nickel as well and safety and spy the quarterback. I'm looking forward to that one. And this is the thing about the Vikings. I think they got a lot of good games and key moments. Like they got the Bears technically when they could have taken a bye. It might almost be like a bye. Nothing against the Bears, but that's a good one that fits. And then again, Christmas Eve. What better team to play than the Giants? So it's not a ton of pressure. It is a game that people expect you to win. There's going to be a ton of money in Vegas being thrown at this one in the Vikings way. So I'd say bet early and bet often before teams get to figure it out, because it's one of those games now you can get some good odds on.
In the back half, there are a couple of opportunities for there to be a shorter schedule, so not as many days to obviously prepare or rest up when you're on such a haul of a 17-game season there. So, Gabe, what game are you most looking forward to on that home stretch?
Well, since Ron is going on the festive side, he went
It's
week 1,
right?
which is already a holiday. It's the season opener. Then he went Thanksgiving,
wow.
and then he went Christmas Eve. So I'm going to go the next holiday, and I'm going to go New Year's Day. January 1st against the Green Bay Packers. That is going to be an action-packed game. And personally, I think that'll be the game that decides if the Vikings are a playoff team and what seeding they'll be if they win that game. This is a game where, Vikings, Packers, you get it every year, twice a year. Last year we got it January 2nd. Hopefully we have all of our guys healthy for that game, but this will be another way for just NFL fans to see football at its highest peak. This is the game I have circled. This is the game I had circled as soon as I saw the schedule, and for many reasons. And we know this is the year that the Vikings should and can beat the Packers twice a year. And I think if you want to be considered a really good football team, first you beat the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, and then second you beat the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau on January 1st.
The NFL loves a nice wintry January matchup, whether it's outdoors at Lambeau, outdoors at Soldier. All I'm asking for next time, can we please get a home game at the end of the season in the Dome? All I want is the Dome. That's all.
We've had it. The NFL is not in our favor this year. They said, okay,
as far as weather.
They said you asked for the bye week, we give you the bye week, and you want London, we give you London, so we give you 2 road games at the end of the year. So pick your poison.
Pick your poison.
But this is the thing, that might be good for them.
Yeah,
because they've had these home games, and fans are like, just win and we're in the playoffs. They couldn't do it. So maybe there's a little bit more added motivation to win on the road.
Now is the time, my favorite time. Ron, it's your time to make some predictions. This 2022 slate, is you just got this minutes ago, so
Yep.
you've been kind of having to make a couple of quick adjustments and judgment calls. So let's kick it off with that week 1 matchup. It's the home opener against the Packers. What you got?
Yeah, quick twitch. I'm going to go with early. That's going to be a win. That's 2 teams. One, the Vikings' new shiny toys, and Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne. You got Dalvin Cook. This is going to be a high-flying offense. It's going to move fast, often, and it's going to be a back-and-forth shootout. It's going to be up to whoever's defense can get the most stops, because stopping these teams is not going to happen, but who can get the most stops to keep this a close game.
Yeah, and if you just look at the history of this Green Bay Packers versus Minnesota Vikings rivalry, the team who has won the third down has been winner of this rivalry 10 out of the last 11 games. So winning the third down, starting fast, spinning strong, putting yourself in situations to be able to convert first downs, I think that's going to be key.
Week 2, let's get it going. Monday Night Football at Philly.
Well, I knew the Vikings would have to play around Christmas. I'm glad it wasn't Philadelphia, because we've seen Philadelphia fans beat up Santa. So we've seen what happened in the playoff game in Philly. So Vikings fans, it is a night game. That's 8 hours for Philly fans to drink. So please don't wear purple if you want to make it back to Minnesota safe. So with that said, I think that that's going to be a tough one on Monday night to turn around after a high-flying Packers game. That might be like not say a trap, but a letdown loss for the Vikings in this one.
All right, week number 3, we've got a home game against the Lions.
Yeah,
You know
and-
Detroit. You know a thing or two about Detroit, win or loss.
So I'm not gonna bash the Lions. I think Dan Campbell's getting it going. I think he's figuring it out. They're gonna have to find an identity this year, which is gonna be tough, blue collar, Detroit style football. Smack you in the mouth, and that's what Dan Campbell wants. Biting the kneecaps is probably a bad phrase. He just wants his players to hit people in the mouth, and so that's what we're gonna see. But we're gonna see a well-coached defense now, a more cohesive defense, and a group of players that can go talk to their coaches. So I think now they'll figure out how to beat a team like Detroit, and they get this win.
And I don't think that'll be an easy win either, because
No.
like you said, the Lions are starting to figure this thing out. Think about what they did in the draft. Think about what they've done in free agency, adding DJ Chark. This is going to be a game that the Vikings can't overlook. We saw last year they did that in Detroit, and we ended up losing. So this is going to be a game where you say, okay, maybe the Lions or the Bears, and you have to treat them as such, because they're going to come hunting early.
And Jamison Williams, that's
Yeah.
gonna be the key. Is he healthy enough to play in that game early on in the season?
Jared Goff, a lot more toys to play with on the field out of the toy chest this time around, that's for sure. Let's move on to week 4 as the Vikings travel all the way to London to take on the Saints. They are the away team in this contest.
And the best thing about taking that game away from the Saints as a home game, it's now a neutral field. You can say we're the away team wearing white. Who cares? It's on the road. We're in London. There's a UK Vikings Twitter account.
Oh yeah, the late night Vikes.
Exactly.
Shout out.
So there's nothing like that for New Orleans. There's no UK New Orleans, following. And so when you think about that, I think this is going to be a Vikings win. They, like Gabe said earlier, they've done well there. Adam Thielen does the soccer slide for the championship. And then all the London fans are doing the gritty. So it's going to, and Justin's worldwide. Like, they can't wait to see Justin Jefferson in London.
3-1. I like that. 3-1.
Yeah, that's a hot start. What about in this week 5 contest then? This is a tough one. You don't get the whole week off. You come back from London. The jet lag is real, but you got to face the Bears on Sunday. At home, though.
Yeah, and so when you think about this is purely based off Justin Fields. Can they figure out how to get Justin Fields to be a good quarterback and do what he did at Ohio State? If they can, I think they can end up winning this game, but I got to give this one to the Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to be primed to win this one. I think, again, you still got Dalvin Cook, and people keep talking about this passing game. We forget that he can give you 120 yards a game if you give him the ball. So this is a scary team.
Yeah, but I do think the Bears are the team you want to play after leaving from London. And when you look at just the teams that have played in London, I think it's been 60 teams thus far, and only 5 have had bye weeks since London has been having NFL games out there. And teams are 2-3 in those games. And since the Vikings don't have a bye, I agree with you basically saying the Bears is the team to have, and they should win this game.
4-1 right now. All right,
love it.
here's
I'm
the big
sorry.
one. You've got to
Playoffs.
take a trip down to Miami. It'll be nice and sunny. I know a lot of Vikings fans probably wish this one was in December. Instead, we get this one in October. But Ron, you get this one. What do you have against the Dolphins?
So this is one that Robert Smith, former Vikings running back, he and I were talking, and I'm like, what did you look forward to in the schedule? All the players circled Miami. They know we're going to Miami. And so you got to think about DJ Khaled, you got to think about Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. So you got to block out the issues because you got to focus. You got to go beat this Dolphins team. We just saw Tua try to throw a ball to Cheetah, and he underthrew him in practice. That doesn't look good early on. Now, granted, they're going to get it together. Probably not. And so I look for this to be a multiple interception game for the Vikings defense. This is kind of when they get their identity going as a defense. And I think the Vikings can win this one. I mean, I'm a little bullish on that, and I know I'm disrespecting the Dolphins and Dolphins fans, but the fact that, like, again, quarterback, they were thinking they're going to get a new quarterback, and then they go out and get a receiver. So I just feel like that's putting, brand new tires on a Honda and expecting it to do like a Ferrari. Like, it's not going to happen.
It'll still go, though.
It'll go.
It'll get you to point A to point B.
It'll get you there, but it ain't going to pull up with the suicide doors and all that. And
Well, the Dolphins also have a brand new coaching staff as well that they're
Correct.
making the transition with, too. Transitioning that into the bye week, though. So we've got the Vikings going, or Ron, I shouldn't say we. Ron has the Vikings going 5-1 into the bye week. They did the coaching staff opted out of that bye week, as you said, after London. Do you think that this is a good time to have a bye week? Are you happy with where this is placed?
yes, because if you look at down the stretch, there's ways to create rest. If you think about Christmas and some of these Saturday games, that's an extra day of rest on that Sunday, Monday. Again, I don't think taking it in week 5 would have been smart. I think week 6 after a Bears game. Again, this is a bunch of players who've been to London before too. You're going to have veterans on this team who've been there, so they can kind of explain that as well. So I think it was smart. I think it was smart to defer it to that next week, and then it's not really split, but you still kind of split it up a little bit.
Yeah, Vikings, I'm sure some of the Vikings players would probably just stay in Miami too. They're just like, oh, we get to play the Miami Dolphins, have a bye week afterwards. I'm just going to stay down here and enjoy it. So maybe that'll be more of a incentive to play and to win. So the coaching staff won't say, okay, we lost against the Miami Dolphins. We got practice on Monday. So I like the 5-1. It might be a little bit of a stretch, but Ron, I like your thinking. I'm sure Vikings fans like it too. Definitely.
Well, after they catch the Sun Rays down in Florida, they make their way back up here against the Cardinals in week 8. Here's my question for you. Arizona last season was a game that I think most Vikings fans won't soon forget. Do they get the redemption in US Bank Stadium this season?
No.
Oh, no.
So, again, there has to be some letdowns in the
Sure.
season. I mean, of course, we've seen 15-1 here in Minnesota. We know what happened with that. Brian Billick was my head coach of the Ravens, so I've heard all the stories about when he was offensive coordinator here and they went 15-1. If you look at the way this Cardinals team is set up, again, there's another high-flying team, but the one difference in all the quarterbacks they're going to face up to this point, it's a true running quarterback who they actually say run the ball, pitch it to the running back, all that kind of stuff. So I have them losing to them. Also, DeAndre Hopkins will be coming back off of his 6-game suspension, so he'll only play one game, most likely week 7, and then he's going to be fully rested and ready for the Vikings. So
Good point.
that's tough.
I think just as history shows, the Vikings have won the last 10 games against the Cardinals at home. The last time the Vikings lost at home against the Cardinals, they were the St. Louis Cardinals. So this will be history if they make this thing possible. But like you said, coming off a bye week, it may be a little tough, but hopefully
Be in Miami for 10 days.
But hopefully history, yeah, it's true. Hopefully history repeats itself.
All right, let's fast forward to week 9, where the Vikings hit the road for a 2-game road span, the first time that they have a 2-game road span so far this season, and they take on the Commanders.
Yeah, the Washington football team is what I'm going to call them. But no, so the Commanders, they end up they can beat this team. Again, another quarterback change. I mean, this was the biggest quarterback carousel off season I've seen in my life. It's receivers too. But you think about them having a new quarterback. That's tough to come in. You got to think about when Kirk Cousins first got here. It's going to be some growing pains with a guy Carson Wentz that the coach did not want. You know, it's like Andy, in Toy Story. You get rid of your favorite toy, and then, it's like you find something else. And so that's what they're doing. Like, can Carson Wentz be their new shiny toy?
Buzz Lightyear.
Maybe. Buzz Lightyear, exactly.
My question is, do you think that he has Colts written on the bottom of his shoe, like Andy does, Any
To
Toy
remind
Story
him of being
fans
there?
out there? Just saying.
Or Eagles.
Right.
Or Eagles.
And
Or
so when
Eagles.
you think about that, I think it's a win. I think the Commanders, they do have a good running game. They do have some weapons. This season's going to be dedicated to Dwayne Haskins, so they are going to have some motivation the entire season. But again, it goes back to the quarterback. If your quarterback is not playing well, you can't win games.
Like week 10, on the road, Buffalo Bills. This is a tough one. They were right there before the Super Bowl. So
Yep.
does this team, are we able to get a win on the road?
No. So Josh Allen
I like how
is a
direct you are.
really good quarterback, and that's going to be the key to this. Him and Stephon Diggs. I'm excited though because
Not elite?
the Stephon Diggs, he's elite.
Okay.
The Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, Cam. Like,
Yeah.
they're going to have those two on camera the entire week. That's all they're going to talk about because this was a direct trade and then value. So we traded Diggs. You got Justin Jefferson in that value direct. Like, this is what you got for this. And so everybody wants to see what's that handshake look like. And they're boys. They celebrate each other on Twitter and blah, blah. But again, it's the handshake, it's the conversation. Does Diggs walk past Kirk Cousins and not say anything? I mean, there's so much to this. You know, Thielen and Diggs, do they cry and hug like, you know, at the end of Lethal Weapon when, you know, when Mel Gibson leaves and, you know, Danny Glover retires? I mean, it's so much to this game. But again, two high-flying offenses. I mean, this is the first time I think we're going to talk about offenses. It's always been the Vikings defense. Vikings defense versus the other team's offense. Now we're putting two high-flying offenses up against each other. It's going to look like the Chiefs-Bills game, I feel like. It's going to be just back and forth.
And you still think it'll end up in a loss, huh?
It's going to be a loss.
You know, there's a lot of storylines in this one, as well as former Vikings head coach Leslie Frazier being the guy dying at the defense against this Vikings
so many
offense.
storylines.
So many storylines. It's definitely one circled on the schedule. Let's move to week 11. The Vikings welcoming the Cowboys back into US Bank Stadium. We all know what happened last time. What's going to happen this time, Ron?
They're going to figure it out. They're going to win this one. There were the mistakes that were made. I think they're easily fixable. We talk about, again, the teams working together, the conversations now players are having in the hallway with coaches. It's going to be a totally different team. The mental mistakes, I think, will be eliminated. They'll win this one.
I think this game will be a shootout, similar to what Ron said about the Buffalo Bills. The Cowboys, we know they like to throw the ball. Dak Prescott, they want him to have 5,000 passing yards, but their defense is the biggest question, which I think the Vikings will try to take advantage if they want to win this game.
4 days later, you've got the New England Patriots, Thanksgiving night. We all know that's your game to watch, and you're excited about this one. How do you think it goes?
So I'm torn.
Wow,
This is the one where I think they
okay.
can, it's 50-50 for me,
I heard
honestly.
that sigh from here. I felt
felt
it. I
it?
mean,
I'm
I felt
torn
it.
because all the things you just said, the short turnaround, you know, you got Belichick who can sit up and dial up some stuff. He's going to be on a short turnaround as well, most likely. I don't think they have a bye right before this one. So two teams on a short turnaround. The one positive, the Vikings don't have to travel. So I think that's why they win this game at home. They don't have to travel in a short week where the Patriots have to get on the plane and come here. So that's kind of, I think that's my 50-50 deciding factor.
So 3 games in 11 days, and the Vikings go 2-1 in those games.
Yeah.
That is a win. That is a big,
I'll take that
big
any
win.
day of the week.
I mean, look, if you're 8-3 heading into week 13, all's good.
Playoffs.
All is good. Yeah, that's what's on the mind. That's
And they
true.
might lose that Thanksgiving one, but I'm putting it as a win right now.
Okay, no, I love
So you
the
good, though.
optimism. Love the optimism. So then you get a little bit of extra time to prepare for the Jets at home week 13. It's a noon game. We kind of return back to normalcy.
Yeah.
Ron, what do you think this one goes? How do you
Yeah,
think
so this is going to be all on Kirk Cousins' shoulders. You're going to have him versus another young quarterback on the other side, but Sauce Gardner and that defense, all the pieces they've added. Now that's a team that can literally go from the bottom of the barrel to the top because of where they're at in their division. You look at who they've added. They've got, I mean, allegedly they have the best, draft class for the year. And so it's going to be about how can you develop that talent? Can Robert Saleh, can he get these guys to play the same way the 49ers play defense? If they can show a semblance of that, they can be good. But I still think the Vikings can beat the Jets.
Yeah, that will be interesting. I think this Jets team is really good. And like you said, this is going to be another identity game for this Vikings team because if the Jets are bad and then the Vikings lose at home, it's like, okay, well, we don't really know how good this Vikings team is. But if they can take care of business at home against this Jets team that nobody really knows about right now,
Yeah.
this is like the biggest wild card. I think that'll favor well for the Vikings heading into December.
And after that, 3 of the last 5 games on the road, kicking it off with a road trip to Detroit after that Jets game.
Yeah, it's Detroit. It's late in the season. One of two ways. If the Lions are actually like fighting for a wild card spot, which is scary to even talk about, but possibly. Like they can beat some teams. It's going to be tough. If the Lions are kind of out of it, I think the Vikings win with no problem. But the one thing is where the Vikings and the Packers at this point, because the Lions will love to spoil the Vikings season again. And that's why I think, like you said, start fast and then sustain the end. This is the sustainable part. This is when your body's tired, everybody's beat up, but I got them beating the Lions.
Okay, 10-3. 10-3 heading into week 15, where then you have 2 home games. The first one against the Colts.
Yep. I got them losing to the Colts. It is at home, but the Colts, again, now they've added Matt Ryan. And so when you think about that, that's a quarterback that can win games. Now, if they're up 28-3, I think the Vikings can come back and win because that's what Matt Ryan does.
Wow.
But you look at the Colts, and again, they weren't far last year. They were close. They were right there. Frank Wright, he had his team right there ready to go. So when you look at moving the pieces of this puzzle, I see guys like, they added Reggie Wayne, they added Cato June. So they're trying to get that old school Tony Dungy mentality back in that building. And I think that's going to be key. They have coaches there, but I think the Vikings can win this one. Oh, no, sorry. I think the Vikings are going to lose this one.
You can do, okay,
Yeah.
this also
Sorry.
could be
We'll
a
take the
short, it
first.
potentially could be a short week. It may be a Saturday game.
Correct.
What we have confirmation of, though, is the next week will be a Saturday game. It is the Giants game, Christmas Eve. So I like what you said. You go to the game at noon. You have Christmas Eve. You wait for Santa to get there. The next day, you could enjoy the slate of games yourself after a Vikings ?
W.
Oh, okay.
I'll give him a W.
That's a good gift.
I'll give him a W. So there's the thing with that too. It's going to come down to quarterback play. And not Kirk Cousins. It's going to be Daniel Jones. Can he get it done? Because I think this is his last season if he doesn't get it done with the Giants. And so you look at what that team is going to do. One, they're traveling on the holiday. They're without family. Again, this is another Vikings home holiday. They get home cooking. You get your family here. It's just going to be relaxed. Like having to get on the road and then get a call from your wife, all 6 kids are sick, but don't worry about it, babe, go play football. That's draining on you. Like these guys are still human beings. We forget that. The holidays are tough on some people. And so being home, I think is going to help the Vikings. But no, I think they get the W. Santa will be okay, kids. Don't worry.
You know who's also going to be okay? Andre Patterson, former Vikings defensive line coach. He's the defensive line coach for the Giants. He'll be home. This is still his home in Minnesota. Seeing some of his former defensive linemen, I think it'll be a gift for him to see the Daniil Hunters of the world and the Dalvin Tomlinsons and the guys that he brought in here. So I'm looking forward to that game. Hopefully it does result in the win. Maybe it's a blowout run.
Could be. Daniel Jones has been known to throw to the other team.
All right, a lot more trash talking to commence. No, we're actually have an extra day to rest up and get ready for the final 2 games of the season, which are divisional games on the road. Nothing to laugh about though, because you're going into Lambeau New Year's Day, Ron. How does it go?
They're going to lose to the Packers. And this is why. This is late in the season. Beating the Packers twice is hard to do. I think they beat them early. They lose to them late. Aaron Rodgers figures it out without Davante Adams. Life without Davante. He starts to figure that out.
Sounds like a soap opera.
It might be a TV show. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers, like his Tom Brady type show. Tom Brady, Man in the Arena. It's going to be Life Without Davante by Aaron Rodgers. And so I think he can get it done, though. I think, again, it's freezing cold at that point, most likely. You guys are going to have to be bundled up. I'm going to be in a nice warm studio. So I don't have to worry about all that, but I think that's the key. It's that hard field. It's still old school grass. The footing last year was horrible.
Terrible.
So I think they can get it done. It's going to come down to the running game by that time of the season. The Vikings do have Dalvin Cook, but we know the Packers run the ball as well.
I'm just thinking of the Aaron Rodgers stat that keeps coming to mind. Aaron Rodgers has only lost to the Vikings 1 time at home with fans. And of course we lost to them. We beat the Packers in 2020, but there were no fans there. Right. So the fact that they'll have a home field advantage, I think it'll be very interesting to see how well this Vikings teams play in this atmosphere, knowing that the following week is going to be another game in the cold.
Now, one good thing of note is that Coach O'Connell has coached a winter game in Green Bay. So he's been on the sideline. He kind of knows that feeling. So if you're doubting maybe the weather being a factor for him and being able to be out there and being warm enough, he's going to be just fine.
I remember December 6th, Kevin was in Washington. I was in Washington also. We played Green Bay, and I guess people were cheering because it was 45 degrees outside that day. So hopefully it's similar on January 1st.
Let's hope for that. 45 degrees on January 1st would be great. And then to end this season, as you can see behind us, is the Bears game. You go to Soldier Field. It's a tale as old as time. Bears season finale. How do the Vikings end the 2022 regular season?
This game is going to go one of 2 ways. Either they've clinched and they don't need this game, and so you're going to see Kellen Mond or Sean Mannion, and it's resting your guys, or it's going to be this is a must-win game. Either way, I think they win it. I think if it is Sean Mannion or Kellen Mond, it's going to be a closer game. But most likely the Vikings are going to be in the playoffs at that point. I think the goal is going to be, where do they fall? Is this win going to help them get a bye? I don't know what it's going to take this year in the NFC, but again, they're an 18-1 favorite to win the NFC overall, not just division. So there's some people out there, and it's getting hammered right now in Vegas. So it's one of those things. People are bullish on the Vikings. Like, I don't know if it's the change in coach, but that could be the key.
If the Vikings are 11-5 heading into this week, and they still haven't clinched the playoff berth with how crazy the AFC was this offseason, that says a lot about the schedule this year.
So and the division.
And the division, because I don't think there's going to be that many good teams in the NFC. But we'll see. I like 12-5. I think the Vikings fans like 12-5. Where that gets you, we don't know. Right. But hopefully that's a first-round bye.
Does 12-5 make you NFC North champ?
NFC North? Oh, yeah. NFC North champ
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay.
The bye, like Gabe was saying, I think that's going to be the question is what does the rest of the NFC do? It's so many new pieces, though. I mean, you got to look at, Russell Wilson leaving Seattle now. Like, Seattle used to be one of the mosquitoes in the Vikings'
They got
ear.
Geno Smith and Drew Lock.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's a really good
Just saying.
combination there. Now you got 2 quarterbacks for 1.
All right, well, we'll focus back on the Vikings, though, because it really is a very exciting time around here in TCO Studios as the 2022 NFL regular season schedules have been released. Thank you so much for your insight, Ron Johnson, Gabe Henderson, and a message for you fans. Those tickets are on sale right now. 9 home games. Don't let it go by without you getting to US Bank Stadium this fall. The Vikings have never had 9 home games. So what an opportunity for you to make memories with your families this season. Let's hope for that 12-5 schedule, guys. But for now, stick with Vikings.com. Make sure you log on the Vikings app or Ticketmaster to get those tickets. And we'll see you in US Bank Stadium very soon.